Friends, a story for the young and the young at heart. Levi goes over to his friend Shimon's house and they schmooze for hours. Levi says, "It's getting very late, don't you think? It must be way past midnight. What time is it?" Shim replies with a shrug. He says, "I don't know. I don't have a clock." "You don't have a clock in your whole house?" "Why should I? I have a shofar." Lev responds, "A shofar? How can you tell time with a shofar?" "Just watch," says Shim as he sticks his head out the window and blows a piercing, loud tikiyah throughout the entire neighborhood. All of a sudden, windows in the street start opening and people start yelling at him. "Are you crazy? Blowing a shofar at this time? It's 2:00 in the morning." "See," says Shim, "the shofar tells me what time it is every time." One of the exciting things, of course, on Rosh Hashanah is we hear the sound of the shofar, which we'll all have the chance to hear later this morning. And for those of you who are joining us on Zoom, we invite you also to come at 2:30 and 3:00 for our family service in Tashlich at East Wharf Beach, where you will have the opportunity to hear the voice of the shofar also in person. The shofar is a reminder that the new year has come. It's time to recommit to the best that we can be. It's a less than perfect world out there. And whether we're ready or not, 5782 is here. And speaking personally, I could not be more excited. I know we could not be more excited to welcome it with you. So as we prepare to begin our service, a few logistical notes. I want to say thank you to our TBT board greeters and our technology team, both here and on Zoom. To those of you who have entered the Zoom space, you've had the chance to meet Don Goslin, who's our Zoom coach. He's going to be here to assist you throughout our services should you need any technological help. We ask you, if you are on Zoom, please remain muted during the service. We'll have a chance to greet one another afterward. And please ensure that your first and last name are correct when you come into these Zoom meetings so that we can figure out that it's you quickly and be sure to let you in. And of course, for all of those on Zoom, for all of those in person, we are equally together in this prayer community, and the prayer community experience is very much real, regardless of whether it is digital or in person. So we invite you to set up that space in your home so that it's a prayer space that you can return to over and again. Make it feel special. Get dressed up. Let the sense of the occasion of the holiday come in, even though it's not quite as we would wish to be all together in person. We are together in a very real sense. We open up with the morning blessings, thanking God for body and soul, beginning on page 120 in your golden prayer book, page 120. We'll read in English together. Blessed are you, Holy One, who has formed the human body with wisdom, an intricate network of channels, vessels, and openings, the wondrous structure and the flow of life within us. Allow us to serve you and to give thanks. Let us cherish this gift of flesh and blood, honor it as God's creation. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar umachli la'asot. We praise you, Holy One, for wondrous acts of creation and healing. On the following page, gratitude for our souls and spirits. Zman shana shama b'kirbi, modeh ani lefanecha Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai v'imotai. As long as I have breath in my body, God, I place my thanks in you. Adonai Elohai, Ribon kol ha'ma'asim, Adon kol ha'nishamot, Baruch atah Adonai asher b'yado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar ish. We give you praise, Adonai. All life is in your hand, and in your care, the soul of every human being. Page 142, please rise if it is comfortable to do so. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Or olam ba'otzar chaim, orot me'ofel amar vayehi. Source of blessings, our eternal God, your power fills the cosmos, shaping light, creating darkness, making peace and fashioning all things. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, said God, and it was so. Page 146, we read together in English. Love abundant, love unstinting, our God, you have enfolded us in love. Tender compassion beyond all bounds, your precious gift. Our fathers and mothers gave you their trust, and you gave them Torah, laws by which to live. For their sake, teach us as well. Grace us with your guidance. Loving Father, merciful Mother of us all, grant us clear understanding that we may listen, learn, and teach, preserve, practice, and fulfill with love every lesson of your Torah. May learning your Torah light up our eyes. May our hearts embrace your mitzvot. Unite us in love and reverence for you, that we may never feel ashamed of our deeds. On the following page, Baruch Atah Adonai, Habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava. A praise to you, Adonai, you have singled out your people, Israel, with love. Page 150, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Mikar Malchuto Le'olam.
Please be seated. On page 152.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meotecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levadnecha, vidibartam baham, beshivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha baderech, ushofbecha uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, mehayu letotafot beineinecha, Uchtatam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'yot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen.
When our ancestors started telling our most important stories thousands of years ago, one of their most important ones of all was our escape from slavery. We left Egypt to become a free people. That gave us tremendous privilege and therefore also tremendous responsibility. Because it wasn't long after becoming free that we decided we need a rule book to guide our lives. God gave us Torah, and we agreed to uphold it as part of that sacred agreement. So when we celebrate the story of freedom every day, it's a reminder that it's also our job to help others become free. Because in this country, in this world, until all of us are free, none of us can truly be free. We can play a role in shaping a more just world. That is why Michamocha is one of the songs we sing with the greatest frequency in all of Judaism. It is our anthem. And let us then sing it together to this special high holiday melody on page 164. Turn to page 166. Standing before God, we enter into the Amidah. Please rise.
Adonai, Sept Tikvah, Ufi Agita Hilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Umoshia umageng. Baruch atah Adonai. Magen Abraham, Bezrat Sarah. Amen. Atah Gibor, Ne'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKota, Rav LeHoshia. Mechaber Chaim bechesed, Mechayeh Hagol berachamim rabim, Somek noblim merabeh olim, Umatir asurim.
Please be seated. On Rosh Hashanah it is written, on Yom Kippur it is sealed, that this year people will live and people will die, some more gently than others, and nothing lives forever. This pandemic has reminded us of these truths so bitterly, so repeatedly. Yet, amidst overwhelming forces of nature and humankind, amidst overwhelming loss and seemingly insurmountable grief, we still write our own book of life, and our actions are the words in it, and the stages of our lives are the chapters, and nothing goes unrecorded, ever. Every deed counts. Everything we do matters. And we never know when an act or a word will leave an impression or tip the scale. So if not now, then when? For the things that we can change, there is teshuvah, realignment. For the things that we cannot change, there is tefillah, prayer. For the help we can give to others, there is tzedakah, justice. Together, let us write a beautiful book of life for the Holy One to read. Page 174. Let us proclaim the power of this day, a day whose holiness awakens the deepest awe and inspires highest praise for your dominion. For your throne is a throne of love. Your reign is a reign of truth. In truth, you are judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal. You record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. And when you open the book of memories, it speaks for itself. For every human hand leaves its mark, an imprint like no other. And so a great shofar will cry, Tikvah. A still small voice will be heard. Angels in a whirl of fear and trembling will say, behold the day of judgment, for they too are judged. In your eyes, even they are not blameless. All who come into this world pass before you like sheep before the shepherd. As a shepherd considers the flock when it passes beneath the staff, you count and consider every life. You set bounds, you decide destiny, you inscribe judgments.
mi yashkit, umi Torah, mi yeshale, umi yaser, mi ya'ani, umi ya'asir, mi yushpa, umi yaru.
On Rosh Hashanah, this is written, and on the fast of Yom Kippur, this is sealed. How many will pass away from this world? How many will be born into it? Who will live and who will die? Who will reach the ripeness of age? Who will be taken before their time? Who by fire and who by water? Who by war and who by beast? Who by famine and who by drought? Who by earthquake and who by plague? Who by strangling and who by stoning? Who will rest and who will wander? Who will be tranquil and who will be troubled? Who will be calm and who tormented? Who will live in poverty and who in prosperity? Who will be humbled and who exalted? But through return to the right path, through prayer and righteous giving, we can transcend the harshness of the decree. We who are mortal, our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere, a glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours. Page 184, please rise. Page 202, we stay standing for the great Aleinu. Please be seated. Three of the past 5 US presidents have children who have married into Jewish families. Do you remember when Chelsea Clinton married a Jewish man under a chuppah? That created quite a stir. Yet, just over 10 years later, weddings like this are no longer sensational. They are commonplace. Regardless of how you or I might feel about this, I have found that young people are not terribly interested in what their bubbies, zadis, rabbis, or sociologists have to say about their romantic partners. It's not that they don't care about Judaism or even about raising Jewish children. Quite the contrary. They just don't consider the two mutually exclusive. Times sure have changed. In the last Pew study, Judaism ranked as the most admired religious identity. This is about as popular as we Jews have ever been in the modern diaspora. We are desirable. Who knew? That's why most Jewish families in America, certainly among non-Orthodox Jews, are in some way now blended families. In the 10 years since Chelsea married Mark, the intermarriage rate among non-Orthodox American Jews has risen to 72%. 72%. That is sobering news. Should this upward trend somehow magically freeze in place, only about 1 in 4 of our children on average will marry a Jew. As a rabbi, I care about this because I feel a responsibility for the Jewish future, deep in my bones. It's the sort of thing that keeps me up at night. And at this stage, the best way I know how to fulfill that responsibility is by focusing on the values of Hachnasat Orchim and Ahavat Hager, of welcoming the stranger and loving the outsider as our own. Welcoming people from many walks of life into our congregation with open arms. There are Jews by birth here, Jews by choice, and many others from diverse backgrounds who add vibrancy to our community. Meanwhile, the Jewish future is in question. And that's a question I feel it's up to all of us to respond to. That's why today I'd like to share my vision of a temple Beth Tikvah that is at once inclusive, Jewishly dynamic, and also deeply, deeply committed to building a strong Jewish future. Now, these are sensitive matters, and I do not always feel that I have the right words. If I do accidentally offend, I hope you will forgive me. My simple aim is to share my hope for this Jewish future we might build together, whether or not we are all Jewish, whether or not we might one day become Jewish. This hope isn't just demographically convenient. It's an essential building block of a Torah-centered community in 2021, or we might say 5782. On Yom Kippur, we will read from Leviticus chapter 19. Ke'ezrach mikem yihye lachem hager yitechem ve'ahavta lo kamocha ki gerim heitem be'eretz Mitzrayim ani Adonai Elohechem. The ger, the stranger who resides with you, shall be as one of you. You shall love that person as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the eternal, your God. During our Torah service this morning, we will encounter Avram and Sarai, Abraham and Sarah, when they heeded God's call to become our first ancestors. Their family stories reflect both the promise of a new identity as well as the horrible pain that can result when they exclude others from that nascent identity. I doubt it's coincidental that these two Torah portions are the two that we include on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Both the ethics of welcoming the stranger as well as the costs of failing to do so are in our high holiday readings for us to confront. This invites us to reflect. Who gets to be considered an insider in our communities? What are the values by which we welcome someone or don't? And what is it that makes our community Jewish in the first place? This morning's Torah reading will challenge us. When Abraham and Sarah try to start a family, Sarah cannot conceive at first, so God tells Abraham to marry Hagar, an Egyptian. As you might guess, that becomes complicated very quickly. You see, in the ancient biblical world, men could marry more than one wife. But imagine the pain and inadequacy Sarah must have felt when she could not conceive. It was her job to start a brand new people. God promised it. This is a grief that so many women have known, laid bare here in the Torah and in the Haftarah. Is it any surprise then that Sarah feels jealous of Hagar? She looks for any excuse to lash out at her or to criticize her son Ishmael, even after Sarah herself gives birth at the age of 90 years old, by the way, to her own son Isaac. Whether justifiably or not, Hagar and Ishmael are banished to the desert. Garesh et ha'umah, says Sarah, banish this woman. And they are never again to be seen in the Israelite camp. Hagar departs with just a little bread and a skin of water. When the water dries up, she places her son in the meager shade of a nearby bush. Crying out to God, she breaks into tears. Let me not look on while the child dies. She waits for a miracle. The troubling irony about Hagar and Ishmael's expulsion is that Abraham and Sarah demonstrate the very opposite just a few chapters before. The Midrash teaches that when visitors come to see them at their tent, by the way, right after Abraham circumcises himself, he nevertheless jumps up to greet them, prepares them meals, sees to their every need. The Midrash says that their tent was open on all sides as a symbol of their extraordinary hospitality. Well, it is not open now. Sarah's jealousy of Hagar leads to this family estrangement and great suffering. Jewish suspicion of the ger, of the non-Jew or convert within the Jewish community, can be traced directly, I believe, back to this story and its interpretations. This attitude endures today in ways that we may not even be aware of. Excuse me, what did you say your last name was? Oh, you're Jewish? You don't look Jewish. When did you convert? Such comments might sound innocuous, but they can cause great harm. I myself have been guilty of such insensitivity from time to time. It behooves us all, I think, to carefully consider the ways that we speak to and about each other, especially concerning our Jewish journeys and backgrounds. These days, there are no reasonable assumptions about someone's identity based on their name or their nose. Among American Jewish adults under age 30, 15% identify with minority ethnicity groups, including 7% Hispanic, 2% Black, and 6% other or multiple races. And these are figures that we will see growing and increasing as our community grows in diversity. In so many instances, I have discovered within the last 2 months that devoted leaders in our own Temple Beth Tikvah congregation are not themselves Jewish. I would never have known otherwise. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So let me say unequivocally, all who want to build this Jewish home together, all who share our values of tolerance and respect for Jewish tradition, all who feel a Jewish obligation to improve the world around us, all who have a vested and heartfelt interest in the Jewish future, all of you are welcome here. The stakes are high. Simply being Jewish is no guarantee that Jewish identity will endure. Yet according to the most recent Pew study, 9 in 10 adults who were raised Jewish by religion continue to identify as Jewish into adulthood. 9 in 10 adults raised Jewish by religion continue to identify as Jews. Who are these Jews by religion? These are kids like all of ours, kids who grow up in the embrace of a loving Jewish community, who celebrate holidays with family, who bring warm Jewish memories into families of their own. Whether Jewish or not, the parents in our community are actively shaping a Jewish future for this generation of children, and therefore for the next generation and beyond. That is an incredible gift. And so I'd like to take a moment, if I may, to speak directly to those who have taken what used to be considered a very non-traditional route to participation in our community. To our friends who were born Jewish, we must not take for granted that Judaism is simply a part of our lives or yours. To live a Jewish life in 2021 is necessarily to be a Jew by choice. So thank you for choosing to be here. I love being your rabbi. Our community is stronger because of you. To our friends who have chosen Judaism through conversion, you are beloved in this community. You follow in the footsteps of our matriarchs, Sarah, Osnat, and Ruth. who courageously chose a new path so they might come home to the Jewish life they were born to live. Surely your path has not been an easy one. You may not have always felt acceptance, yet you are Jewish in every respect. In fact, you are even more beloved to God, as the Midrash says. The convert who did not hear the thunder at Sinai, says the Midrash, who did not see the mountain quake when Moses took down the Torah and the lightning came down behind. The Midrash says, you have chosen to walk this path for yourself, and so could anyone be dearer to God than such a person? You are learned and serious. I admire you. Our community is stronger because of you. To our friends who have cast your lot in with the Jewish people, though you maintain a different background, you are beloved in our community as well. Many of you are raising Jewish children. You occupy leadership positions in our congregational committees and our board of directors. You spend hours in carpool lines and quarterback bar and bat mitzvah meetings. You model what it means to build a Jewish home, even though you were not raised in one. I am humbled by your commitment. Should you choose to formalize that commitment through conversion, I will always be here for you. But that is no barrier for us to embrace you as part of this community. Our community is stronger because of you. And I would therefore like to invite each of you to a special aliyah, a special blessing at the Torah in our Yom Kippur morning service. I hope you will consider taking part in this special honor over Zoom. Finally, to everyone here, listening in person or on Zoom, I want to acknowledge that it's not always possible to choose whom we love. I am here, TBT is here, we are here together to open the door to anyone who chooses Judaism. In fact, we are a stronger, richer, better people when your partner chooses to join us too. We want them here too. The door is always open. Hagar and Ishmael are outsiders from the beginning. Hagar's name literally means Ha-ger, the foreigner. The Torah speaks in compassionate tones about the ger, yet the story today challenges us to live up to that. We are to include and care for one who has come to sojourn with the Israelites. This person has thrown their lot in with us and is treated as part of the community in return. So what about you? Do you see yourself in any of these stories? Are you like Abraham and Sarah, the hopeful Jewish ancestors to be? Are you like Isaac, born into your parents' faith and searching for a way to make it your own? Are you Hagar, born into a faith apart from this community, yet now seeking a home here? Are you Ishmael, feeling the pain of a community that you wish accepted you? Well, we know how Ishmael's story turns out. And if you don't know how Ishmael's story turns out, we'll find out in just a moment. But his story does not have to be our story. Our job as a Jewish community in 2021, and one of my most important jobs as your rabbi, is to welcome Hagar and Ishmael back into the tent. Like Abraham and Sarah's tent, I dream that TBT will be open on all sides, welcoming friends old and new. Yes, I say to you today, and please do not forget, you are welcome. You belong here, regardless of where life's journey finds you. Please come in.
As I go fields of gold. I seek a harvest of kindness grown. As I come to reap what you've sown, holy souls are all worn down. Wherever you go, I will go too, 'cause I choose to be chosen with nobody other than you. And if you stay, I won't go away, 'cause I choose to be chosen by nobody other than you. I cling to you as I'm far lost in barley. This one who saves closer than me, taking gracious notes, who lifts me up, and in their eyes I am enough. Wherever you go, I will go too, 'cause I choose to be chosen by nobody other than you. And if you stay, I won't go away, 'cause I choose to be chosen with nobody other than you. Wherever you go, I will go too, 'cause I choose to be chosen with nobody other than you. And if you stay, I won't go away, 'cause I choose to be chosen with nobody other than you.
Our service continues on page 223. Please rise if it's comfortable to do so. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu ve'ol olaleinu v'tapenu, together.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale dever v'cherev v'ra'av me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale kol sar umastin me'aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kotvenu b'sefer chaim tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu ve'anenu ki ein banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed ve'hoshienu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
We turn now to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah, beginning on page 227.
Ein kamoham Elohim Adonai, vein gemaasecha, malkutecha malkut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai imlach, leolam va'ed. Adonai Hosea moitein, Adonai yevavei, edomu v'shalom.
Page 228. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving, and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum Ve'Adon, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed La'alamim, Nosei Avon V'Chesed, V'Chata V'Nageh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum Ve'Adon, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed La'alamim, Nosei Avon V'Chesed, V'Chata V'Nageh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum Ve'Adon, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzeh Chesed La'alamim, Nosei Avon V'Chesed, V'Chata V'Nageh. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo. Adonai iti, Unromem Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'tiferet, v'hadmet saheyahu. בשמיים ובארץ, יכול בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני המלאכה, ימין עשה לכל עברו.
You can have a seat. As I mentioned a few moments ago, we're going to be reading the story of Hagar and Ishmael this morning, and the traditional reading is from chapter 21 in the book of Genesis. It's also conveniently in your machzor on pages 238 and 239. If you want to follow along, we'll tell you which verses we're going to be reading as we go. It's the chapter of Sarah's miraculous pregnancy, her jealousy of Hagar and Ishmael, and their banishment. We are excited to have a number of Torah honorees here in person this morning, which is truly, truly special and something that I don't think we take for granted for 1 second. So in order to maintain everybody's safety, you can see Cantor is already masked. I'm going to be putting mine on right now. And we ask that if you're going to be coming up for a Torah honor, you please come with a mask as well. Torah readers will come over here, and those having an aliyah can come to this side of my podium. I'll move this microphone over. Great. And we invite forward our first Torah reader, Jill Karamanis. Please come up. And for the first aliyah, we have Arlene and Bennett Paul. Ya'amdu Beryl ben Shlomo ve'Avigail la'aliyah harishona. Welcome. Get settled and take a look at the Torah scroll. Once you enter her place there. Oh, I see you have your cheat sheet. I have some for you. Great. Just give Jill a second to find it. Sure.
Try that way. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
You good? You ready?
I am.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Va'adonai pakad et Sarah ka'asher amar. Vayas Adonai leSarah ka'asher diber. V'tahar v'telet Sarah v'Avraham ben Biskunai lamoed. Asher diber oto Elohim. Vayikra Avraham et shem beno hanoled lo. Asher yada lo Sarah Yitzchak. Vayima Avraham et Yitzchak beno ben shemunat yamim ka'asher siva oto Elohim. Avraham ben Ma'at Shana v'hivalelo et Yitzchak beno. V'tomer Sarah Sachok asali Elohim kol hashamea Yitzchak li. V'tomer mi milel le'Avraham Hanika vanim Sarah ki yalati vein liskunai, vayita hayelet, vayigamal, vayas Avraham mishta gadol, beyom higamel et Yitzchak, ותרא שרה את בן הגר המזרית, אשר ילדה לאברהם מזחק, ותאמר לאברהם גרש האמה הזאת ואת בנו, כי לא ירא בין האמה הזאת עם בני עם יצחק. וירא הדבר מאוד בעיני אברהם על אודות בנו. ויאמר אלוהים אל אברהם, אל ירא בעיניך על הזאת ועל אמתך, כל אשר תאמר אליך, שרה שמע בקולה, כי ויצחק ויקרא לך זרע, וגם את בן האמה לגוי אשימנו, כי זרעך
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tukenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasha, beautifully read.
Thank you.
You'll be well, sister. Shana Tova to you and your family. You'll be well, sir. Take care. All right, so for those following from home, Jill just beautifully chanted verses 1 through 13, where we learn about Isaac's miraculous birth and Sarah's jealousy of Hagar and Ishmael, putting the plan into motion. Stu will continue. Stu Weinzimmer, we're happy to have you reading verses 14 through 16. And for the honor of the Aliyah, the Goldberg family who's with us today. So, Ya'amdu, Ya'el Batzvi, Vehinda Umishpachata, the Aliyah Hashaniyah. I got cheat sheets if you need them. Sure. Okay, let's make sure he has his spot. We're good.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. וישכם אברהם בבוקר, ויקח לכם עד מים, ויתן אל הגר, שם על שכמת ואת הילד ושלחה, ותלך ותיתה במדבר באר שבע. ויכלו המים מן החמת, ותשלך את הילד תחת אחת השיחים, ותלך ותשב לה מנגד הרי כמתחווי קשת, כי אמרה אל אראה במות הילד, ותשב מנגד ותישא את קולה ותבכה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו את תורת אמת וחיי עולם אתה בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Yasher Koach. Yasher Koach. We do elbows. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Thanks for coming up, guys. Yasher Koach. And I'll share what Stu just read. Abraham has a habit of getting up early. He's a real go-getter. We'll see it tomorrow too. So Abraham woke early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water to give to Hagar, placed them on her shoulder along with the boy, and sent her off. And she walked and she wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And when the water skin was empty, she cast the boy under one of the bushes and went and sat at a distance as far as the shot of a bow. For she said, "Let me not see the child die." And she sat at the distance and raised her voice and cried. For our third Aliyah, we have a Zoom reader. So this is us checking. Corey, Don, do we have Jen standing by to read Torah for us?
Sure do.
All right, I can't see her, but wait, maybe if I come up, I can. Okay, I see her. Great, Jennifer, we're glad you're reading Torah. You're ready to go? All right, terrific. So then we'll call up our Aliyah in person. We'll have a Torah reader on Zoom with Cantor at the scroll. And what else could more aptly describe 2021 Judaism? So for this special Aliyah, we're going to invite all new members of our congregation, whether you are just joining us this year, whether you joined us perhaps last year since the pandemic or a little before. If that applies to you, we would love to invite you to the Aliyah. If you're on Zoom, just for the sake of cacophony, please stay muted, but you're welcome to rise and read the Torah Blessing along with us, which I believe is on page 230 in your gold machzor. And we have two wonderful families here representing all of you who are new members. And there are some squirmy babies involved, so we understand if you need to come back and forth a little bit, that's okay. But we're very happy to have the Rabinovich and the Lipschitz families. Of course, perfect timing. We have Karen Reuven and Luz Rabinovich and Abby and Josh Lipschitz. Please approach the podium. Ya'amdu Karen bat Reuven velus Reuven ben Natan uvatya Luz bat Chutza umarta Fana bat Yaakov David ubela Rivka v'Yeshua ben Chushka v'Shena la'aliyah shelishit. All right. Oh, what a lovely view to see all of you here together. Okay. Now, does anybody need one of these? Cheat sheet? You got it? All right. Jennifer is standing by, and we'll invite you on the count of Shalosh to please chant the blessing before the Torah. Chad, Shtayim, Shalosh.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Barchavanu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vayishma Elohim et kol hanahar vayikra malach Elohim el Hagar min hashamayim vayomer la malach Hagar al tiri ki shama Elohim el kol hana'ar ba'asher husham kumi se'i et hana'ar v'hachal חזיקי את ידך בו, כי לגוי גדול לשימנו. ויפקח אלוהים את עיניה, ותראה באר מים, ותלך, ותמלא את החמת מים, ותשק את הנער, ויהי אלוהים את הנער, ויגדל, וישב במדבר. ויהי רובה כשד, וישב במדבר פרן, ותיקח לו אמו אישה מארץ מצרים.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaim l'moladav b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Don't go anywhere just yet. Yasher koach to all of you, and Yasher koach to Jennifer as well. What she just chanted is the ending of the story, and God heard the boy's voice and sent a messenger of God, called out to Hagar from the heavens and said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the boy's voice where he is. Stand up, lift the boy, and hold strongly onto him with your hand, for I will make of him a great nation." And God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And when she went and she filled the water skin and gave the boy a drink, and God was with the boy as he grew. He made his home in the wilderness and became a shooter of the bow. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother acquired for him a wife from the land of Egypt. Having read the ending of that story, we have a special Misha Berach for our new members, all of you here and all of you out in Zoom land. Misha Berach avotenu v'imotenu. May God, who blessed our ancestors, bless and welcome all of you who have recently become part of our temple Beth Tikvah family. You come to us from many places, from many different walks of life. May you find delight and support in the embrace of our Kehillah Kedosha, our sacred community. May you find spiritual nourishment here, and may we be able to support your ongoing growth, regardless of where you are on your Jewish journey, even if you're just starting your Jewish journey. May we celebrate many milestones together. May we build a vibrant Jewish home here on the shoreline. May we have a lot of friends and a lot of fun with our friends in religious school. Baruchim habayim, blessed are you all on your coming. Welcome. We're glad you're here. And together we can all say, Amen. All right, so we say thank you, Todah, to our Torah honorees. You can all have a seat. Todah. Shana Tova.
Yes.
In the presence of our Torah scroll, we take a moment for Misha Berach Lacholim. We pray now Misha Berach to the source of blessing. Repair the rent garments of our souls. Stitch the ripped fabrics of our society. Bandage the holes in our hearts. Cure our sickness, treat our ailments. Lighten the burden of our treatments. Give us strength, offer us relief, release us from suffering. Heal my dad, guard my mom, soothe my sister, love my brother, support my loved one, revive my friend. Nurture all who live in the in-between. Notice all who are unseen. Renew our courage, restore our breaches. Rescue our wholeness and root us in the ever-sturdy tree of life. We continue now with a prayer for healing. Misha Berach. Page 245, 245. 4, 5.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebera imotenu mekor habraka avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Now we lift and dress the Torah, so we invite Mark Schiff and Helena Shanzer. Ya'amdu hamagbiya v'hagolelet. Please rise, everyone. Make sure you have room to stretch this out. Actually, you can have a seat over there. You have room space. You have chairs. V'zot haTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai ve'yamod Hashem. We need that first, please.
Vezot haTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai ve'yad Moshe.
Thank you both. It's okay. Do that next time. All right, please have a seat, everybody. I'm just going to grab that towel.
Yep.
On Rosh Hashanah, our themes of new beginnings, unexpected birth, and barren mothers who welcome children it's a dominant and recurring theme throughout the texts, and so too in the Haftarah. So we'll be reading from the story of Hannah today, and Hannah is a story that deserves a lot more treatment than it usually gets, which is one reason that, because we don't have time for it today, we're actually going to be having a fairly in-depth Torah study on this first section of the story of Hannah in the book of Samuel tomorrow morning at our second day Rosh Hashanah service. And so we will read from the beginning of the story, and we're very excited that Sophie Mervine-Schiff and also Hannah Mervine-Schiff will be coming up to read and to bless. So we invite you up now, and anybody who wants to follow along with the story in your book, it's on pages 250 and 251. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bechar b'vim tovim v'ratzav v'divrei hana'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'imdei ha'emet Batzedek.
Amen.
Vatakam hana acharei ochle v'shilo v'acharei shato ve'eli hakohen yoshev al hakisei al mezuzat heikol Adonai. Vehi marat nefesh v'titpalel al Adonai uchotiv ke v'tidur neder v'tomar Adonai sivaot imro tir'eh ba'oni amatecha uzchartani v'lo tishka et amatecha Ma'amata, Zera Anashi, Untati, Vladonai, Huyame Haya, Umora, Loya Ale Al Rosham. Bahaya, Ki Hirbata, Lehit Palel, Lifnei Adonai, Velhei, Shomar et Piha. V'chana hi midaberet aliba rog sifatei hanaot v'kola lo yishamea v'yashabeya Eli lishkora v'yomer eleha Eli ad matai tishtakariv hasiri et yenech me'alai. Vata'an hana vatomer lo Adoni isha kishat ruach anochi v'yayin v'shechar lo shatiti va'eshpoch et nifshi lifnei Adonai. Al titain et amatcha lifnei Bat Belial Kimorov Shiti Vahasi Diborti Adhena Vayon Eli Vayomer Lechi Leshalom Velohei Yisrael Yitain et Shelatech Asher Sha'ota Me'imo Vatomer Timsa Shipatcha Hein Be'einacha Vatelecha Ha'isha Lidarka Vatochol Untativ Lo Hayu Lo Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sor kol ha'olamim sadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh ha'medaber u'mekayim shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'nevi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat v'al yom hazikaron hazeh Shenat tatamanu Adonai Eloheinu lehavod uletif aret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anafnu modim lach Mavarchim ota yitbarashim chabefi kol hai tamid la'olam va'ed u'devarcha emet v'hayam lechad baruch atah Adonai melech hakol ha'aretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Both of you. Yeah, Sophie, thank you. So beautifully read, so beautifully blessed. Just to give you a little synopsis of what we read, there was a man named Elkanah who had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. He loved Hannah quite a lot, but she could not have a child. And so after years of bitter rivalry, one moment during a festival of worship, she goes into a temple to pray, which I know to you and me sounds very normal, but back then it was entirely foreign and strange. And she has this confrontation with the priest who takes her for someone who is drunk, which is usually, I've learned, where we stopped reading in the past, but I'm glad we read more of the story today. And what happens when Hannah confronts that priest who suspects her of coming in drunk, he says, first, how long will you persist in drunkenness? Put away your wine, get rid of it. And Hannah answered and said, no, my lord, a woman of sorrow am I. I drank neither wine nor spirits, but I poured out my soul before the Eternal. Do not take your servant for a worthless woman. All this time I have spoken from the depth of my anger, from the greatness of my grievance. And then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant the request you have made. To make a very long story short, she later gives birth to a boy named Samuel, who will become a priest, who will then be a prophet, who will come to anoint the first kings of Israel. And so his role becomes crucial in the bridge between generations of leadership and political organization within the ancient Israelite community, starting the period of the kings. So that's why Hannah herself is considered one who is righteous and worthy of prophetic status. And if you're interested how spicy the rabbis of the Talmud get when they talk about her, then you can come for our Torah study tomorrow morning as part of our service, and we'll go a little bit more. We'll dive a little deeper into her story and her background. So thank you again, Hannah and Sophie. It's a pleasure to be worshiping together, and we'll begin to conclude our service. But before we let you go, we have some special shofar blowing too. So make sure you stick around, whether you're here or on Zoom. And we'll first put the Torah back into the ark. I invite you to please rise. We're on page
277.
Thank you, 277.
Eitz Chaim hi, lama chazigima, betom teha meushar, derachecha, darecha, bechol netivoteha, shalom. Hashivenu Adonai, Elecha b'nashuvah, Harish, Harish Yameinu, Harish Yameinu,
Page 282. God, you revealed your glory, a presence in a cloud, and people became holy when you spoke to them. Amid thunder and lightning, you made yourself known. With blasting shofar, you appeared. God, revealed to us and our fathers and mothers before us, God of revelation, play the song of our freedom on the great shofar. Let your banner fly over the gathering of our exiles. Bring back the dispersed. Let those who are scattered find their way home. Let joyful songs of Zion greet us in Jerusalem, your holy city, the place of our people's eternal happiness. And I see that our shofar blowers have already taken their posts. Eli Scher and Steve Epstein, we're glad you're with us today to hear that plaintive, beautiful cry, announcing the new year is here and also helping us to wake up to the better people we know we can be. Teshuvah is in our grasp. We have these 10 days to make that a reality. And we listen with humility to these notes, page 284.
Baruch atah Adonai, shomei kol Torah Amo Yisrael, merachamim. Tikiyah. Shvarim Torah. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Shvarim. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Teruah. Tikiyah Gedolah.
Yasher Koach. Please be seated. In the middle of a life that's as complicated as everyone else's, struggling for balance, juggling time, the mantle clock that was my grandfather's has stopped at 9:20. We haven't had time to get it repaired. The brass pendulum is still, the chimes don't ring. One day I look out the window, green summer, and the next the leaves have already fallen, and a gray sky lowers the horizon. Our children almost grown, our parents gone. It happens so fast. Each day we must learn again how to love, between mornings quick coffee and evenings slow return. Steam from a pot of soup rises, mixing with the yeasty smell of baking bread. Our bodies twine and the big black dog pushes his great head between, his tail a metronome, 3/4 time. We'll never get there. Time is always ahead of us, running down the beach, urging us on faster, faster. But sometimes we take off our watches. Sometimes we lie in the hammock, caught between the mesh of rope and the net of stars, suspended, tangled up in love, running out of time. It's only natural at times of celebration and marking the calendar of our people that we think of those in our lives who we have loved and who have left this world but have not left our hearts. And so we honor their memories. We will say Yizkor for them at Yom Kippur. And we hold all of the mourners in our hearts as together we rise, turn to page 292, and join together in the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiru'utei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'almei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shmei dekudasha b'richu. Le'ela, u'le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens above bring peace into our world and comfort to the hearts of all who are grieving today. As together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. It takes so many people to make a service like this possible, especially in the year that we are having while we don't yet have access to our sanctuary. So I want to say a lot of thank yous. First to Cantor Boyle, my partner, my clergy partner, and especially to Walter for your beautiful music, our TBT choir, some of whom are here today and we heard come out even though they weren't official, which I really loved hearing everybody's voices. So that was lovely. I want to say thank you to Kim and Bonnie, who do so much behind the scenes, to Austin, who helped get everything here together, to the miscellaneous volunteers who in your finery came and mopped up the floor when we had a little water spill earlier, because that's just the sort of year we're having. It takes all hands to build something beautiful, and it's really deeply appreciated. I'd like to thank the TBT tech team, including Corey here in person. Awesome, Corey, thank you. Stu, Susie, Don, and Haida, thank you all for supporting. I see Don waving. Thank you for supporting on Zoom and to make sure that all of our congregation has access digitally. We have a few special things going on even today. So for those of you who have kids, we have a children's service that will be just a brief, lovely, embodied, fun service at the beach. Luckily, we have a beautiful day. We hope to see you at East Wharf Beach at 2:30 p.m. sharp. We're going to begin the service because we have Tashlich happening right after that in the same place at 3 p.m. So we hope that you will come for either or both of those today. And we have our memorial service at the TBT Cemetery in Clinton this Sunday. And of course, you can come back tomorrow too for our second day Rosh Hashanah service. I don't know why I didn't put that in my notes. We have a second day Rosh Hashanah service tomorrow at 10 a.m., same time. And then we have that memorial service on Sunday at 2. Both will also be on Zoom, although the events at the beach will not be on Zoom. So we hope to see you there in person. Those of you who got a machzor at our drive-through machzor pickup also got a paper bag. Even if you didn't get a paper bag, it's very appreciated to help support those who do not have what we do to be able to have food during the holiday. So please bring back your bags generously filled on September 20th when we will be returning our machzors. Are there any other announcements that I missed for today? All right, then we will continue with a final song, Hayom Te'amtzenu, God, this day, strengthen us as we go into this new year, page 294.
Hayom, hayom, hayom te'amsenu, hayom te'amsenu, amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom te'varchenu, te'varchenu, amen. Hayom, hayom te'gad aleinu.
Hayom Harat Olam. Today, the world is pregnant with possibility. Today, the new year begins. There may be no such thing as a totally clean slate in the real world, but there is such a thing as a beginner's mind, as an attitude. Begin again, return again. Hashivenu Adonai v'nashuva. God, cause us to turn, and we will return to you. May this year bring us all new possibilities, a renewed zest for life, and lots of joyful moments together. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova to our friends on Zoom. It's great to see you all.
Shana Tova.